A bombshell ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court today has opened a path for possible implementation of President Trump's restrictions on mail-in voting. I'm glad you're with us tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden, and we have a lot to get to. So the High Court ruled 6-3 to temporarily lift a federal injunction which had blocked a key part of the president's executive order on mail-in ballots. So this ruling now allows parts of the order to move forward while the legal challenges continue. Denver 7's Maggie Bryan in the studio tonight with some clarity on just what this could mean for the midterms. Maggie?
Shannon, I've talked with several election officials and experts today who say as of right now, this Supreme Court ruling does not change anything for the November 3rd midterm election. The Supreme Court did not rule on whether Trump's mail-in voting executive order is legal, but said only that states have no standing to challenge it right now. The three liberal justices dissented, warning the order could create confusion and chaos ahead of the midterms. With midterm elections coming up in November, questions are growing over access to mail-in voting, the method used by more than 98% of Colorado voters last election.
It does add in a dose of uncertainty.
On Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court sided with the Trump administration in a 6-3 vote, saying it's too early for states to challenge the president's executive order on mail-in voting. The executive order signed in March directs federal agencies to create a list of all eligible voters using citizenship and Social Security records to keep non-citizens from voting in U.S. elections. The executive order says the U.S. Postal Service would only be able to deliver mail ballots to people on those lists.
Trump basically is trying to take control over who gets a mail ballot, who doesn't.
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold says Colorado's mail-in voting process is safe and secure.
There is no evidence that there is any kind of widespread voter fraud.
Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder Amanda Gonzalez, who is running for Secretary of State, says Trump's executive order could keep eligible voters from getting a ballot if federal voter data is wrong or outdated.
They are talking about bringing together data, much of it never intended for identifying voters, from different sources that there is no way to verify the accuracy of.
Monday's Supreme Court ruling temporarily allows the Trump administration to move forward with parts of the executive order while other legal fights continue. But justices did not rule on whether Trump's mail voting executive order is legal or constitutional.
As of right now, nothing is changing for the November 2026 election. You will still be mailed your ballot.
Supporters of mail-in voting reform, including James Wiley, the Republican candidate for Secretary of State, welcome the justice's decision as a temporary win.
I think it's really important that we work to increase security with the voter rolls as much as possible, and then make sure to restore trust with the mail-in voting.
While some Colorado election officials say it only creates more confusion ahead of November's election.
This is not the end of the fight. The Constitution is clear. States run elections.
All right, Maggie Bryan in the studio tonight. So obviously so many questions about the practical implications right up against the midterms.
Right. And as we've mentioned, the ruling creates kind of an avenue to implement the president's executive order restricting mail-in voting, but it's unclear how much can be put in place before the November elections. Today's ruling also leaves room for more court challenges, which could also slow the executive order. North Carolina sends out ballots to overseas and military voters in 11 days, and Colorado and other states will start doing the same very soon after. So, Shannon, again, the court's ruling is not final, but it definitely opens the door for potential chaos surrounding voting, especially with the president who frequently questions election integrity.
All right, buckle up. Thanks for that explainer tonight. We certainly appreciate it. I want to take a closer look at Colorado's mail-in voting numbers. Data from the Secretary of State's office show an overwhelming majority of voters choose to mail in their ballots in the last vote we had here in the primary. Now, mail ballots accounted for nearly 99% of accepted ballots during the 2026 primary. That's about 1.4 million ballots, fewer than 25,000 voted in person. And going in depth here, just back in April, I spoke with our Attorney General, Phil Weiser, about Trump's executive order, and Weiser told me it is clearly illegal.
This is another illegal action by this administration. My job in the face of illegal actions that harm us is to stand up for the rule of law and to protect Colorado. The Constitution is very clear. States set the time, place, and manner of our elections.
Now, today's Supreme Court decision allows key parts of Trump's executive order to proceed, as we said, as lawsuits, including the one filed by Colorado, play out. And despite calls to eliminate most mail voting, President Trump voted by mail last week in Florida's primary. White House spokesperson Olivia Wales defended Trump's use of a mail ballot, calling it a non-story. Well, last week's election was not the first time Trump's voted by mail. In fact, just earlier this year, he cast a mail ballot in a special election. Denver 7 has reported extensively on President Trump's attempt to limit mail-in voting and how it could impact Coloradans. And we'll keep following these developments and bring you the very latest on air and online.